we will be creating a program that will display all the numbers that are divisible by 5 from numbers 1 to 50. So in this operation, we will be using the for loop and the range function. So I will be declaring variable a to store the numbers from 1 to 50. So 1 and 51. Then we will use the conditional if to test the value. So if a, which are numbers 1 to 50, we will be using modulus function to divide the range of numbers from 1 to 50 by 5 and get a 0 remainder. Then our system will be printing those numbers. So to test this program if it's working, let's save it. So let's try to run the program. We forgot the inward. So let's try to run again the program. Alright, so as you can see, our program displayed all the numbers that are divisible by 5 from numbers 1 to 50, which is 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, and 50. Next, we will be creating a program wherein we will request for the user to guess our favorite number. And that favorite number will be number 9. We will give the user 3 attempts to guess the number. So first, we will declare a variable for the number of attempts. So I will be using attempt to store this value. So we'll set it to 0. And then we will be using the while loop to ensure that the user will have 3 attempts to guess the number. So while attempt is less than 3, then we also need to increment the attempt so that it will loop through the cycle. And we will also be declaring our favorite number. So I will be using letter A to store the value of our favorite number, which is 9. And then I will be using variable B to ask for the user to enter their guess. So it's an integer, and then I will be using the input function, and then I will be asking the user, guess my favorite number from 1 to 10. There. And then we will be using a condition to test the operation. So let's use if. So if B, or the guess of the user, is equivalent to A, which is our favorite number, then we will be displaying a text that says correct, you got it in, and then we will be displaying the number of attempts. So I will be placing in a curly bracket for the program to reflect the number of attempts by the user. So let's print it. So we will be printing it. Follow the text format, which is attempt. We'll put it in the curly bracket. The value of attempt will be placed on the curly bracket. And then, once the user guessed the correct number, it will break the loop. So we need to put the break function. Now, if in any cases that the user did not guess the number correctly, let's also place another conditional statement. So we will be using elif. If the guess of the user, which is B, is greater than our favorite number, then it will print. So let's use the curly bracket again so that the program will adapt the number that was entered by the user. So, is too high. So let's print it. So the text and then the format and the value of P that will be placed on the curly bracket. Now, if this particular condition is not met, then let's have another conditional statement. So I'll use else, and this will be if the value is lesser than. So if the value is lesser than, our program will be printing the guess of our user. So let's put it in a curly bracket again, is too low. So let's print it. So the text and format. Then the value of B. Okay. To ensure that the loop will stop after 3 attempts, let's pair the while loop with an if function. So if the attempt is equivalent to 3, then it will end. Will end the program. Let's put end. There. Now, let's try to test if this program is running. So let's save it first. So let's try to run it. First, I will be guessing it correctly once. So I'll be inputting number 9. So as you can see, I've got the message that says correct. You got it in 1 attempt. Now, let's try to run it and guess it twice. So I'll first input number 10. So it says here 10 is too high. And then I'll guess number 9. And it says I've got it in 2 attempts. So next, let's try to guess it again. So I'll place 1, and it says here 1 is too low. 6 is too low, and then 9. And it says correct. You got it in 3 attempts. And as you can see, it also displayed or printed end, signifying that we maximize the number of attempts. Now, let's try to run the program and enter or guess the wrong number 3 times and see what happens. So I'll be placing 2, and then 4, and then 6, and it ended, the loop ended. So even though I try to enter numbers, it is no longer being picked up by the program. So I need to run it again since I've maximized the number of attempts, which is 3. So this program is running. So next, we will create a program that displays the pattern of numbers as shown in the screen. So for this program, I will be declaring a variable which is rows to indicate how many number of rows would I like the pattern to be printed. So in this case, let's try 5 rows, but you also have the option to modify this by asking the user to input the number of rows that they desire using the input function. And then we will be using the for loop, wherein we will be declaring variable x to cover the range from 1 to 6, because I'll be having 5 rows. Okay. So this is for the row. And then we will also be declaring another variable for the column. So I will also be using the for loop. So for the column, let's declare the variable y. So and then we will be using the range function. So for the range function, it will start from 1 and then basing on the declared rows. So it will increment by 1 based on the rows. This particular operation is for our rows, and this one is for our column. So let's print our column. Print y. And then let's use the end function so that it will give a space in between. We will be using another print function for the next line. So I'll be using \n. Then let's save it and test if this program is working. Let's try to run it. Okay, so as you can see, it printed the pattern correctly. So now, if in any cases that you want more rows, like I said earlier, sure to change this to the number of rows declared plus increment it with 1. So 1. Let's make sure that it's an integer. So let's put int. Okay. Try to save it. The program. Okay, so I would like to have 10 rows. There. As you can see, it displayed the pattern from 1 to 10.